everybody. This is Jennifer from Gals, Ghosts, and Ladies. Thank you for joining us this Saturday night for our live stream. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, and also thank you if you're watching us at a later time. I always appreciate that. Definitely subscribe, like, share, all that fun stuff. I really appreciate it. Helps my algorithm and helps me get viewers. Thank you. Let's see. I do want to remind folks that this is an 18 and over conversation. We usually talk about disturbing things here on Gals. And as I like to say, I find it pretty disturbing that we're not more disturbed by the disturbing things that we discuss here. But that's just the way it is. So this is an 18 and over conversation. And I do swear sometimes. Also, pour yourself a glass of wine, a cup of coffee, crack a cold beer. This is a 420 friendly space. Smoke them if you got them. I know I did. But kick back, relax, and enjoy yourself. I do want to remind folks that any research that was done is done by me, and so any errors in research are mine and mine alone. I am not going to cite my sources here. Don't take my word for it. You're grown-ups. Look it up yourself. You all got a Google finger. If I say something and you don't think it's true, look it up. I try not to use bunk sources. I try to use legit and good sources. And if you do watch my show, you do know that I kind of pride myself in my research. So anyways, like I said, any research errors are mine. Let's see, where am I? I've got this new thing off to the side, so I'm not constantly looking down at my notes, but I do have notes and my famous purple pen, which makes me very, very happy, as you all know. So as you all know, also, I am new at live streaming, so I do welcome your critiques, but please be kind. I'm learning as I go along. I'm the only person doing this. I'm doing all the controls. I'm the producer, the director, etc. So if I stumble a little bit, please bear with me. I think I'm getting a little better week by week. If anybody's out there, let me know. Lisa, if you're watching, or Michelle, if you're watching, let me know if I'm getting better, or you guys DM me and let me know things that I need to improve. I really trust you guys for that. I want to give a shout out, as always, to Ladybug Pest Control, my day job. Without the day job, there is no this. This is a hobby that I absolutely love to do. And like any hobbies, it costs me money. So I'm very grateful for the day job, and the hours that I work allow me to do this as well. So thank you, Ladybug. Let's see, anything else I want to say before we get right into it? We have a guest star tonight that I just cannot wait to introduce. Let me jump over to comments. I don't see that anybody's here yet. Well, when somebody does join us, please say hello. We'd love to hear from you. And let me get back to my notes. So tonight we have part one of the Villisca axe murder house, and we're going to talk about the paranormal aspect of it. So tonight we have Courtney Buckley with us, who is the star of, she's ghost bait on this show, Scared and Alone. Please watch it. It's an excellent show. I've seen many, many episodes many times. I love to go back and rewatch them, and pick up on things that I missed. And I swear, Courtney, I can't wait to tell you about something. I swear I saw something when I was rewatching it today. But anyway, so without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and introduce Courtney and bring her on stage with me. Let's see, Courtney, whoops, hang on, I'm getting there. There we are. Hi, Courtney. Welcome.
Hey,
Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
thanks for having me. It's an honor. I'm excited.
So Courtney and I met a few weeks back at Middleborough Town Hall. That was a very fun night, and I went back Saturday night and had a good time as well. So it was really fun meeting you, and I definitely fangirled because I knew your show. If you remember, I said, have we met before? And you're like, I don't think so. But I finally figured out who you were, and that was very exciting for me. So we are going to talk about the Villisca Axe Murder House. But before we talk about that, I wonder if you'd take a minute and share with us, how did you get interested in working in the paranormal? How did you get involved in this?
Sure. I mean, I think I was born with it. Pretty much when I was little, my family used to joke that I had ESP because I would answer questions that like they would think of in their mind, like I would answer them out loud. So it was always very accepted in my household. This was just very normal. And then it was actually Villisca that really got me into it. When I was about 12 years old or 13 years old, I was watching that, whatever, like America's Most Haunted or whatever it is, with the lady with the poltergeist that was on Poltergeist, that voice.
I know the show. I
Yeah.
know that. I know.
Yeah. So I saw the Villisca episode and lost my mind. I had to babysit that night, and I was convinced there was people in the attic. Like, it was crazy. But like, I used to watch that and be like, oh, they're sending them on dares in Dracula's castle. I could do that. Like, whatever. So it was always my secret, like, close to the chest, life dream to ghost hunt on TV. And then as like ghost hunters came about, that made it kind of socially acceptable. So like later on after high school, I was not at parties. I was the weird kid in cemeteries in the middle of the night, breaking into mental hospitals when I shouldn't have been. I'll lie under oath about that. So nobody else knew that. And then
Toleration is part of the show.
yeah, yeah. And then it was all very like just synchronic. Like, there was like synchronicities that happened that this sort of like fell into my lap. I met the owner of the John Proctor house, Barbara. She's now a family friend of mine. But I met her on a night that I wasn't supposed to be where I was, and she wasn't supposed to be where she was. And we just kind of connected. And then I was very into the ghosts and she was not. So when the producers of Now Scared and Alone reached out to her for something different, she was like, well, I'm not going to do that, but Courtney will. And so I found myself on National Ghost Hunt Day live streaming from the basement of the Proctor house by myself. And I was like, I'm doing it. Like, this is my dream and I'm doing it. And then everyone that was on, Dean Hagland, he's our host from the X-Files, David Sloan, the doll tender for Robert the Doll, Haley Michelle, the paranormal princess, and Richard Lale Lillard, the gentleman psychic. It was like ghost hunting with my best friends. So the producers called me after that and they said, this worked really well and you guys gelled really well. Like, do you want to do this? And I was like, sign me up. Like,
yeah. Oh, yeah. I look around me and I go, who would say no to that? I guess some people would, but I don't know anybody that would say no to that.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it's rough sometimes because like I go into these places, they just send me where I'm going and I don't look it up. I don't look into the history. I don't look into what's happened, or what the alleged hauntings are. And a lot of times, I every time I'm there by myself, someone may be on the property somewhere, not in the building with me, but like outside. But a lot of the times I'm staying there or I'm staying close by, and it's just being alone there. I've said it multiple times on the show where it's like, yeah, you guys, I'm sure, because your energy is tied in with me. Everybody in the comments who comments along and everybody on the panel, your energy is tied here with me, but I'm the only one I'm physically here and I'm alone. Like, it is an onslaught. Like, it is coming at me. So it's tough sometimes, but it's always, makes for a good story.
Actually, something that I hadn't considered until you really presented it this way, being the only person in a place like Villisca or any of the other places you've been, the Weymouth, the former jail and those kind of places, Hearts of Hall, you connect with those kind of energies. And when you're by yourself, there's nobody else to buffer that. It's not like you're with a group of people who are all feeling it. It's like I noticed when you were with Gigi at Villisca Axe Murder House, there's somebody else to temper it a little bit, tone it down for you. You're not the only one, or even to be a support for you. But when you're by yourself, it's a different game altogether. And I think you're very brave, that's for sure.
Or stupid.
But brave, well, no, I don't think you're stupid at all. But brave doesn't mean not afraid. Brave doesn't, you can be afraid and brave at the same time. I'm afraid, but I'm facing it. So, but again, it's like you said, to really understand what that's like. Probably the most I've done is like gone into a closet by myself, or a basement for a few minutes. But to do that on such a grand scale, yeah, you're absorbing and feeling everything with nobody else to buffer it or temper it. Those are the words that come to my mind.
Yeah, and it's almost like I never thought in a million years that I would ever want to investigate by myself, because I think before I did it, it seemed unsafe in my mind. However, I learned real fast how to trust my gut. Not that I didn't already, but I learned real fast how to trust my gut enough to say it out loud, because if I'm not saying it out loud, then the viewers have no idea what I'm
Mhm,
feeling.
mhm,
But in addition to that, it's now become like my preference. So it's nice to investigate with other people because you have other people there to corroborate, but there's so many more things that can interfere when you're with other people. So I find that even when I'm
mhm.
investigating with other people, I will try to take a few minutes to go off by myself and see what I can feel and see what I can experience on my own. Which is strange because I never thought before I did this show, I never ever thought in a million years that that would be my preference, but it is, because it's, you get all of it yourself. So there's no, if I hear footsteps, I know there's no one else in the house. I don't have to think about that. I do have to think about, because I'm big on debunking. So I do have to think about
Oh, yeah.
causing that sound, but like if it's in the room with me and I'm looking around, there's no, like, there's nobody else there that could be coming from. So it's very interesting how that perspective has changed for me since doing the show.
It gives the evidence purity. Somebody else's equipment isn't interfering with yours. You know that you're not hearing a crew's footsteps,
Right.
or a cough or a whisper. That's something that when you go on like a group investigation, somebody whispers and it ends up kind of tainting like an EVP session or something. Oh, a funny story, if I may take a moment. We were at it was very fun. It was a Dustin Parry event it was in Middleborough, at the Mayflower Lodge across the street from the town hall. You know that place, right?
Unfortunately, yep.
But we were in like the big hall, and like there's what I would describe as galleries on each side. So in the middle of the room, there's like the altar,
Yep.
that room, and then on each side there's galleries. And I film everything. I'm that girl. Um, excuse me. But Dustin Parry, I enjoy his EVP exercises and I've learned a lot from. But this was a really big event. So there's probably like 30 of us, 15 on one half of the room, 15 on the other, and Dustin Parry in the middle of the room trying to do an EVP. And I've got my camera set up and blah, 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 blah. And I don't know, we don't hear anything. And I can't wait to look at my footage later. So the next day I get my footage on the computer and I sit down and I get my headphones on and I'm listening and I'm watching and I'm listening and I hear this tss, tss, tss. I'm like, what the hell is that? Tss, tss, tss. And I start looking and I've got night vision and I brighten up everything and I can see across the room in the gallery is a girl with a bag of potato chips. And, and my camera picked it up from all the way across the
Oh
room. We were having an EVP session and she's crunching on potato chips under her seat. And it's like, just, it was a very fun night. But it just kind of tainted that whole experiment and everybody's
right.
footage and everything. But so yeah, I guess again to say I understand what you mean about being by yourself brings a completely different perspective to everything, to everything. We've just listed a couple of reasons why.
Yeah, I think too, it also, like, not to be dramatic, but like heightens that fight or flight because it's just you. So your
Mhm,
senses are all heightened too. And yes, that could translate if you can't figure out a way to remain calm enough, that
mhm.
can translate into every single sound I hear is something dangerous and a ghost. But it makes it so that you can, you're listening harder or you're feeling harder or you're, whatever your specialty is that you can do, you're doing it harder. So that's, I think makes it more interesting. People think I'm either brave or it's really cool or an insane person, and I think all of the above. Yeah.
Check, check, check. Well, first of all, anybody who thinks paranormal investigating is normal is definitely not normal.
Nope.
So I hear you there. So whatever, it's completely normal for me, and I completely understand everything you're saying. Uh, and I know that my friend Lisa Aubie is watching, and she agrees. Hi, Lisa. So for you, it was Villisca, for me and Lisa's my age. We're a few years older than you, Courtney. For us, it was the Lizzie Borden story.
Oh,
That was like as a teenager, like to get to know so much of that story. And then back in, I think it was 2018, when public ghost hunts were first getting popular, Lisa and I booked a U.S. Ghost Adventures, U.S. Ghost Hunt thing at the Lizzie Borden house and had an overnight there and had an absolute blast. And I was definitely bit by the bug. But then a couple years passed. That was really kind of expensive, and I didn't know that I didn't know. I didn't know there were mainstream ghost hunts, and I didn't know that I can see the USS Salem from my front yard.
oh my God.
I can see it from my front yard, which also means I'm 15 minutes from the Emory Estate, and from Middleborough, and from Rockland, I'm like, holy cow, who knew? I had no idea, you know.
Yeah,
So I found that kind of very exciting. I'm not in the Bridgewater Triangle, but I'm certainly in an area. I'm in Quincy. So,
right.
like I said, I can see the USS Salem. So, all these places I'm talking about. This is really a hotbed of paranormal activity. And there's so much history here. That's got a lot to do with it too, you
That's
know?
really, I think that we're so fortunate where a lot of, I mean, there's there's huntings everywhere, but
Mhm.
where we live in Massachusetts, we have that luxury of having all the rich history and a lot of it all
Yeah,
around us.
yeah.
It's even more of a chance that we would find something. I mean, you can't throw a rock without finding somewhere that George Washington stayed. So it's like, it's all over. And we should be taking full advantage of it. And that's why I love the events like Christy puts on. Uh,
Mhm.
she does the work that she does because she is preserving that history and offering it to us to take advantage of.
I absolutely love Christy. So, definite shout out to
Yeah,
Christy. I saw online that Emory Estate is going to be available for people to book. Well, we are gals, and we love booking groups of people. So, any of my Massachusetts peeps, hit me up, and I'll book it.
I'll
If
be
I book it, I'll come. If you want to come too, I'll let you know.
there.
So, I'm going to be booking that. I'm definitely looking forward to that. And again, I'm Emory Estate. I'm 15 minutes from there.
Yeah,
So,
and we did the episode there that was horrifying until Villisca. That was like there's only been 2 episodes where I've almost tapped out, and it was Villisca and Villisca I technically did tap out, but Villisca and Emory Estate. And then Emory Estate just like wormed its way into my soul somehow from that time. And I ended up booking it again for myself and Gigi, who was on
mhm.
um Villisca with me, and we went back with Christy, just us, and some
Oh,
crazy stuff happened. Yeah. Some crazy stuff happened. I am like, get my claws in there. I cannot get enough of Emory Estate.
I love that place too. And that was after after Lizzie Borden House. It was in 2018. I didn't, other than I love watching all the stuff on TV. And like you said, like you watch Ghost Adventures and remember, a lot of people don't like them. Whatever, blah blah blah. No big camera crews following us around. And it brought it to the mainstream and it made people like me, who has always been a camera geek, say, hey, I could do that. And I did, and I so that's kind of how I got interested. But 2018, Lizzie Borden House, they were kind of expensive. I didn't book anything else. Then COVID hit, nobody could book anything or go anywhere. And then in 2024, which is just last year, I turned 60 and I booked, there was an event at Emory Estate and I booked it for my 60th birthday. And from April to December, I ended up going to Peter Oliver House 6 times from August to December. So I probably went on a dozen paranormal investigations from April. I went on one in April and it's like, holy cow, I just got to do this more. And bam, that was it. I was just booking them everywhere. Uh, and I just don't know how that happened. And here I am. And now I've got gals and it's very fun and we're really enjoying ourselves. And now I'm doing live streams and stuff like that. And again, we've got a few people who are tuned in. Excuse me, I'm going to bounce over to comments and say hello. Hi, Susan. Let's see, we've got Susan Victoria saying hi there, Courtney. Um, oh, and we've got Ashley. Ashley, we met Ashley at Middleborough Town Hall for sure, and we got a great, oh my God, EVP in the jail cell in the basement at Middleborough Town Hall, and Cam, who is Ashley's son, Cam went into first. Riley was in the jail cell, and we did some Estes, and we asked about women prisoners, and Riley heard screaming in the headphones. Then we swapped off, and Cameron went in, and I was calling him Cameron, and the family calls him Cam, so I started calling him Cam as well. And I said, "We've changed prisoners in the cell. Can you tell us the name of the new prisoner?" And it's like, it's the best EVP that this girl has ever got. And listen, Courtney, I have not one, two shadow figures in one clip, and I'm so proud of that. I could retire from paranormal investigating. But this EVP was so good, and there was no doubt that I asked a very specific question. We changed prisoners. What is the name of this prisoner? And the voice came through and said Cam, and we just thought that was so cool.
Yeah, they're chatty in there. When we did the episode, we did I think they asked, is this the woman prisoner? And I was in there, and you could hear someone go, no, which is like they're just talking away.
Yeah, so it's a very, very active
Yeah.
building and very exciting, and nice to see folks that that I met over there joining us. I'm sorry to be looking away. I'm looking over at comments, and everybody who's watching right now, thank you very much. Much appreciated. And sorry, I keep going for my drink. It's very dry. It's just that time of
Yeah.
year, and I'm chilly, and then then I got a turtleneck on, and I'm hot, and it's just that time of year. So, so anyways, if you want, we can talk about Villisca, if that's all right with you.
That sounds
So,
good to me.
all
Buckle
right.
up, because
All
it's
right. So, yeah, get ready. This is kind of wild. So, like I said, for anybody watching, this is part one. Next week, I just want to touch on that for a second. Next week, part two, we're going to talk more about, we're going to do a deep dive, so to speak, into the crime and the suspects. I have been watching this guy, Ken Maines. If anybody knows who he is the he's a cold case detective, and he has a YouTube show called Unsolved No More, and he looks at crime cases, the case files, and he takes like 2 hours and just dissects everything, and he's brilliant, and he was a Marine, and he trained with the FBI, and worked with Henry Lee and all these other people, and so he really does a real deep exploration at all the suspects and what happened. And Courtney, I know I got to be careful because this is Facebook and YouTube, but were you aware that there was some buggery? It's proven buggery. I don't know any other way to say it. To one of the girls, one of the Salinger girls, proven.
nope.
Yeah, well, it's just, I mean, this I have uncovered, as I like to say, as Lisa Aubie will know, I like to say, facta obscura. Tune in next week to see what I have uncovered. It's something that's I think is really deep, and I just not to pat myself on the back. I said I really like to do the research. If anybody did watch my Lizzie Borden live stream, you can go back and watch it on YouTube. About 3/4 of the way here, I'm just going to go ahead and tell on myself, right? 3/4 of the way in, I tell you what I discovered. I started doing a research for a live stream on Lizzie Borden, and it ended up being a live stream on Fall River. Okay, Fall River is crazy. It's been crazy since before day one. Absolutely crazy. But yeah, it still is. You're absolutely right. It's very crazy town. So the Lizzie Borden murders occurred in 1892, and the trial occurred in 1893, and she was acquitted. Well, in 1893, also in Fall River, a woman was murdered, and a Portuguese immigrant was arrested for the crime. I think he was railroaded, but you got to hear the story, right? He said he was robbing her house, and she caught him, and as self-defense, he killed her. She was killed with 20 axe blows
Oh my God.
to the head. And they never publicly made a connection to those two axe murders for over 70 years. And they still don't publicly make. I mean, had you ever heard that there was another wicked bad axe murder just a few miles away at the same time? And if Lizzie Borden didn't do it, maybe somebody was on the loose there, you know. So it's just, so I just wanted to say that when I do my research, I do find some good stuff. So I think if you do tune in next week, you'll hear some stuff about this that you had never heard before. I found it very interesting.
I will absolutely be watching because
Oh,
I
good, good.
need.
Okay, and again, also check out Ken Maines. He uh, looks at case files, and he's amazing. I love his style. I love his program. He's a Marine. He just gets right in and just and does it, you know. But he's brilliant, and I love you know, like the FBI profiling and that kind of stuff. So anyway, so I'm gonna jump right in and talk about.
Excuse
Well,
me.
bless
Sorry.
you.
Thank you.
Um, So, and I am going to be, oh, let's see. Do I have these notes over here? And pardon me for looking at my notes. Okay, but I do have them over here. So the house was actually built in 1868 by Joseph and Annie Moore for their family, and their son Josiah and his wife Sarah ended up living there and with their family and their four children. It was and on June 9th, 1912, which was a Sunday in Villisca, Iowa, and it was June 9th. It was a particularly warm day. It was in the 80s that day. It was Sunday, and it was breezy and a nice summer night. The sun didn't set until 8:50, and the family was at a church activity, which would be a very normal social event for a family to attend during that time period. Not unusual at all for people to attend a church event on a Sunday night with the whole family. And they brought two other little girls home with them to spend the night who were friends with their kids. And also that was not unusual for these girls to be spending the night with this family and vice versa, because these families were friends. What I did find was I found some place that gave these girls a different last name, which I thought was strange.
Hmm.
So anyways, the Moores were the people who lived in the house, and the Stillinger girls were the two girls who went home with them and spent the night. Oops, so everybody went to bed at about 10 o'clock that night. And at some point overnight from June 9th to June 10th, 1912, somebody killed everybody in the house. And it's the only octuple murder in the United States, the only known octuple murder in the United States. And it's funny, I used that word octuple last night, and I said, oh, that's weird. Watch for that word again tomorrow night. And here it is. Should I had like bells go off, word of the night. But and it remains unsolved to this day. And what's very strange is that the theory is that somebody was in the house lying in wait for the family, and was, Courtney, you know, they say in the attic, waiting very still.
Yeah, that's the part you just said it and I get chills and I get goosebumps because until you've been there, you don't understand how difficult that is. Because the walls in that house are so thin. I was in there obviously by myself, and I had Gigi and our other friend were in the barn, so like out in a whole other building, and I could hear them. Like you can't be in that building and like you would hear a butterfly fart. Like it's just you can't any kind of if you're and the proximity. I didn't understand this until I was there, but the proximity of that attic to where they were all sleeping, you couldn't have adjusted your stance or cleared your throat or breathed too heavily without someone hearing you. It just wouldn't have happened. It's impossible.
That's one of the weirder aspects of a very bizarre crime, anyways, of somebody lying in wait. Now, it's just very strange. And that reminded me of the DeFeo family murders where the whole family was shot in their sleep and nobody heard anything.
Yeah.
Nobody, when you shot one, the next one didn't wake up, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one. So something very bizarre at play. I'm not saying anything is paranormal. What I am saying, it does open your mind to some very strange possibilities.
I mean, I have some theories based on what I experienced there. And honestly, I'd like to preface this before we start talking about this for anyone listening. If I heard someone tell me the story that I'm going to tell you guys, I would think that they needed to be committed, that they were insane, that there's no possible way any of that happened. And I am so big on debunking and on evidence based
Mhm.
practice and on everything else, but this was my experience. So I'm going to share it just soul bared because it sounds insane, but this is what happened to me. But based on that, I have theories on how that happened, both paranormally, I think. But yeah, before we get into that. So I don't want to go too far too fast.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Now I kind of don't know which way to go.
Well, I just
But it,
I feel like there's we all have things that we develop. Like, yes, I use scientific evidence. I use, EVPs that I can't explain or photographs or whatever else, and I try to debunk them. But you also have your own senses. So I feel like I've done a lot of work with energy. So I read energy very well. I read energy for humans very well, like alive humans. And also that's how I can get my sense of what's going on paranormally, because I can feel the energy of the person that passed away. So I was reading energy all night. That's what I do. And in reading the energy, I feel like I uncovered things that still to this day make my skin crawl. And I think that there is something there that is more than I'm not saying, I don't like to say demonic in the Catholic Church, call a priest, get an exorcist kind of a way, but like something almost elemental, something that was there for a lot longer that influenced this. I think whoever did this obviously is a psycho person and a bad person who was malicious at heart anyway. But I feel like whatever was there kind of had a hand in that, because I feel like whatever was there had a hand in what happened to me. And I think that that's going to continue to happen because we continue to feed it the energy that it wants by going there and reliving this all the time. So I think, like people said, are you scared that it's going to follow you home? No, because I won't feed it, but it gets fed there. And I feel like I've experienced that in a couple different places, that sort of elemental kind of an energy. Um, Maybe not as dark as this one, but everything, there's two sides to every coin. So that's what I think.
I think the elemental factor is very interesting because then you almost imply with that theory something that's attached inherently to the land itself.
Yes.
It's not the house. It's not just a bad person was there. It's not just a haunting of or a residual energy of the people that were there. But again, it applies something older,
Yep.
longer, stronger, and not very well understood.
Yeah.
I think too.
Right. And I think that that's the only explanation that I've been able to come up with that explains what happened to me.
And there have been other incidences of well-known and documented incidences of people being overcome and being hurt.
Yeah.
Again, you got to be careful what you say on YouTube and stuff, but
Well,
you know,
they warned us about that
mhm.
when we were getting the walkthrough of the house. They said, it was, I think, Johnny Hauser, who used to be the caretaker there. He said, if you start to feel overwhelmed by something, like, you need to leave. You need to get out of the house and go outside and take a break. And I ended up having to do that. And that was, again, the only episode that I've ever tapped out and had someone come in. But it was so heavy and so bad, and I'm sure we'll get into the crux of all this in a little bit. But like, when it happened, where I was someone else at that time, like, if I wasn't stopped, I would have hurt somebody. And I know that. And that's what scares me. And I have no recollection of that. That time I only know about what happened then because watching it back, I was not there when it happened. So I think, and again, working with energy and all of the work that I've done, people are always on me before I do these shows, like, you need to protect yourself and you need to do this and you need to ground and you need to do whatever. And I do, but I don't do it in the way that, that's a very personal practice. I don't do it in the way that people normally, like, I don't sit and meditate. I don't, whatever, because I worked on it for so long that for me, it's like a light switch. So I turn the light switch on, my barrier's up. You can come talk to me, but you can't come in me. You can't come too close. You can't get stuck with me. You can't go home with me. And I have these like hard and fast rules that there is no going around. You're not, you can touch me, you can play with my hair, you can do whatever that's going to make it be a good show and us have an experience or whatever it is. But there are hard and fast boundaries that there is no going across. And because I have that belief in those boundaries, that's what I believe makes them so strong, that I've never had a problem with that. I've never had a problem with something trying to follow me home. I've never had a problem, you know, being my lines being crossed until Villisca. And at Villisca, it was like they didn't exist at all. And not to get, how be careful how I say this, but like it was like being spiritually raped, like just literally something looked at my boundaries and the lines that I had drawn and laughed in their face and then took me anyway. And again, not like I don't use the word possessed in the sense of call a priest and whatever, because I don't think it was that, but possessed in the sense that something took hold of me, kicked my consciousness out and took hold of me. And then whatever I was about to do, and I do believe it wasn't good, whatever I was about to do was not me. And so I have a feeling that when the crime happened, I think that played into it a little bit because whatever was there has been there. And so, yeah, you have the perfect storm of events of someone who has these malicious thoughts anyway, but maybe wouldn't have done anything about it until you encounter an entity like that who is like, oh, hey, I see that and I'm going to use that. So I'm going to turn that around and then commit one of the most horrific crimes that has ever been committed. Like, it's just the perfect storm of events. And I can see, because it happened to me and the way it happened to me, I can see how very easily that could happen to someone like that who has no experience with that whatsoever. So is my opinion, my opinion is an opinion that is based off of my experience alone, obviously, but like that, I could very easily see that being the case.
Well, I certainly appreciate your opinion. And like we say on Gals, this is all about opinion, and you're welcome to your own. But I kind of agree with you to a certain degree about like with the Catholic kind of demon and possession. For myself, I wasn't raised in any religion at all. No religion at all. Christmas was an American tradition in my house. My stepmother was Jewish. I mean, it's just so I feel like I don't have, and I mean no offense to anybody who's Christian, and I certainly subscribe to many Christian um, thoughts, and I believe that the Ten Commandments are good rules to live by, and I think that Jesus Christ was a wonderful man and a great example. Um, but I don't carry a lot of that baggage, so to speak. And again, I don't mean to offend anybody, but so I agree with you kind of on some of those things, but I also agree there are very negative things in this world, and there are very negative things not of this world, and very negative things like an elemental that's part of this world and another world. So I totally subscribe to so many of the things that you're saying, and also agree with setting those boundaries that for yourself. But to go into a place like that and being a good practitioner of those boundaries for a long time and having those boundaries taken away, uh, well, you could see from watching the program, you were certainly very shook up. And I saw you go out and when Richard Lallard had you breathing, I was breathing too, because it was a harrowing experience watching it.
Well, and
And go ahead.
yeah, I was just gonna say, like, there was a whole lead up to this too. Like, it started before we even got there. So, and I don't think any of us realized that until it was over. But like Gigi and I have traveled together a lot, and we normally travel very well together, where we get along great. There's never been an issue. And the day before that, and like the day leading up to getting there, we were sniping at each other like so badly that we would stop and be like, I don't know where this is coming from. I'm so sorry. Like, it's anxiety or whatever. I don't know, but that wasn't towards you. That was weird. And then it didn't happen again once we left. So we were feeling that energy leading into it. And then we get there and we do our tour, and they had a doll in the house, and the doll was filled with dirt, or had been taken from somewhere. I forget exactly this, so this is paraphrased, don't come at me. It was taken from somewhere haunted or something like that, and then brought to a bunch of haunted places, and then filled with dirt from horrific sites like the Jeffrey Dahmer murder sites and the Manson murder sites and all. And it was just like, what are you in a place like this? Like, what are you doing, first of
Now,
all?
I mean, I know what you're talking about with the dirt and the doll, but I didn't know that the dirt came from places like that.
Yeah,
Oh my God, what were
yeah,
they thinking?
right. So
What were they thinking?
exactly. Immediately, I was like, I want, and at this point, like, I'm a little more comfortable with haunted dolls now because they force fed them to me basically throughout the show. But at that point, absolutely not. And something like that in a place like this, absolutely not. I don't even want to look at it. Like, I genuinely, I don't want to be near it. I don't want to look at it. But so we do this tour, whatever. We realize, there's no electricity in the house. There's no, heat, hot water. There's nothing. So,
No
it's just
running water.
no running water at all. It's just that's what the barn is for. So we went and we visited the the cemetery. We saw where they were all buried, and then we went to a gas station. And I thought in my brain, again, I'm thinking showtime, right? I'm thinking, what can I do to help facilitate the show itself? So I decided I was going to get ham or some kind of pork product, because the killer had left out this like hock of bacon or whatever. Like, he was going to make himself a meal and then he didn't. So I thought, to close the show, I would sit at the kitchen table and I would eat whatever this was to sort of close the loop and do the thing that the killer couldn't do. um so I think I was like mac and cheese with bacon in it, and then I found like a package of deli ham. So I buy those things, I have them in a bag. We go back, the bag is in the barn or whatever, and I come in and I'm starting to prepare the show. So I'm walking around figuring out, I'm testing all, like, because again, when we film, there is no film crew. It's just me. So it's me with my phone on a selfie stick, and that's it. So I'm walking around testing my Wi-Fi, because again, there's no Wi-Fi. So I'm testing my connection in all the different rooms that we're going to film in. We're figuring out where we're going to go first, and we're about to start. And all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, I forgot the ham. So I went out to the barn, a whole special trip out to the barn to get the bag. And I bring the bag in and I put the bag on the kitchen table. And then we were starting in the room where the Salinger girls were. And we start. And again, Gigi and our other friend were out in the barn. I was inside the house by myself. And the only thing running through my head right now was like how scared I was. And I had never been so scared in my life. I felt like there was something just around any corner. And mind you, like, again, no electricity, so there's no lights on. So sometimes when we do an episode, I'll start in the room with a light on so that everybody can see what I'm looking at, and then I turn the lights off. There was no lights. But I'm like so scared. And I'm thinking to myself, like, I've been waiting for this since I was 12. Like, I can't chicken out now. I can't, like, this is it. This is my moment. This is what I've wanted forever. And I can't, like, this, like, suck it up basically, because I'm here and this is happening. So get through it and just do it. And we had this whole plan where we were going to do dares all night, because we had the house for the whole night. So we were going to do all these dares all night and be live on Instagram and do whatever. Anyway, so we start in the room with the Salinger girls. Again, they have these, bureaus, because the killer covered the mirrors with like sheets or whatever. So all the mirrors in the house are covered still. So there's a bureau with little toys on it, and the mirror is covered, and there's a bed. And I'm sitting there and I'm interacting with something. And again, I'm reading the energy. And a lot of times when I read the energy, I can kind of piece together a picture for myself just based on what that energy feels like. I never once have ever had a problem where I couldn't see someone's face. Like, I couldn't build that picture in my mind of someone's face. And this was a little girl. And normally, I'm a mom, I'm a teacher. The kids flock to me. They love interacting with me. They play with the toys. They do all kinds of stuff because I just have that energy. She was sitting next to me and I could feel her sitting next to me, and she wouldn't show me her face. So she was turned away from me, and no matter what I did, she wouldn't show me her face. And I'm getting goosebumps talking about it, but like it was very strange, and it was almost like I kind of went with like in the moment, maybe she's disfigured, maybe she's whatever, and she's feeling like she doesn't want to show whatever. But in reality, I don't think that I was ever dealing with the little girl. I think that I was being misled the whole time I was there. And then I never saw her face. So we go to move on to another room, and all of a sudden I hear a huge crash from the kitchen. And I'm in the house alone. What the hell was that? I'm freaking out. I go in there, I can't figure out what it was. And then later on in the episode, I realized the bag that I had brought in with the food in it was on the floor. So something had lifted that bag off the table and dropped it on the floor. So we keep going. I'm in the kitchen. I cannot, like, it was like there was a wall. I could not bring myself to go upstairs. I was so afraid. We're in the kitchen. There's like this vortex of sound where we had a two-way radio in case something happened. I was afraid that my connection would go out and I would need somebody. So I had a two-way radio and so I could call for help. And I'm pretty sure, looking back, that one of the events where someone got hurt, as an investigator in the house, they called over a two-way radio to their people out in the barn. And all of a sudden the two-way radio started making noise, and there was feedback in our audios. It sounded like I was in a tornado of sound, and you could hear voices within that. And it
Heard it. I watched. I told you I watched and then I rewatched. I did my homework for this tonight. I'm telling you, I watched and rewatched, and both times it was very clear you could hear voices in there. It wasn't just. We all know what microphone feedback sounds like. We're all grown people.
right,
That wasn't regular because nobody said somebody's mic is giving feedback here. It was like, what is that interference?
right.
And you could hear the voices.
Right. And they were like, our producers are able to isolate our audio, like, because, on their end, to see where things are coming from. And it was either me or Gigi that was coming from. So I was in the house and she was out in the barn. And at that point it was like do or die. They're telling me, you don't have to do anything that makes you feel uncomfortable. So if you're not feeling safe, like, and that was it. I was so scared. I felt unsafe. And they said, if you're not feeling safe, do not go upstairs. And I said, I cannot have come all this way. I was in Iowa, like, to my dream location. I cannot have come all this way to not go upstairs. I can't do it. Like, it's just not. But like the doll was upstairs, and like I was hearing sounds, and I was just too scared. So in that moment, and this was not a planned thing, in that moment I said, if everyone's okay with it, can Gigi come with me? Because I know it's Scared and Alone. I know that's the whole point of the show, but at this point, this is more than me being scared. I feel like something's gonna happen, and I'm not gonna be okay.
This unscared in that particular episode.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
More scared than I think I've ever been. And so Gigi comes in, and we leave a camera downstairs to kind of, like, I think we left her laptop or whatever down in the kitchen, and they either left the feed up or they cut it. I can't remember, but we're going upstairs, and everything from here on is very strange. So we're going up the stairs, mind you, like, just keep in mind, these stairs are very narrow, and we're walking up the stairs. She's behind me, and she hears someone behind her say to her, "Move," in her ear, like, move so they can get to me. And we get to the top of the stairs, and again, a very small room. We're right where the parents were sleeping. And I do this weird thing where I'm trying to show the room with my camera on the selfie stick. And I do this weird thing where I turn my body, and she's trying to stay out of the shot. And in doing this weird little dance, I corner her in next to the bed. So now we're in, and it's like the roof slope is right there. She is an inch away from the wall, and I'm next to her where the bed is, and I'm standing where he stood to kill them. And I know this because there's a hatchet mark on top of my head, and I'm measuring where I am. So I'm standing exactly where he stood to kill them. And again, for anyone that doesn't know this, he did not use the sharp end of the axe. He used the blunt end of the axe because the sharp end gets stuck and you can't pull it out as easily. So he beat them to death with the blunt end. So the sharp end left slices in the walls of these rooms, and they're still there. And we're standing there, and again, I'm standing here, to my right is the attic door, and then on the other side is the room where the kids were. And I started to like almost panic, and I said, like, my meter was on, there's a mirror behind us covered. My meter was over there. They asked, what is your meter doing? And I looked in the camera and I said, it's dead. And then I started panicking and saying, something's wrong. I'm changing. There's no other word for that. I feel like I'm changing. And it was almost like my feet, where my feet were planted, it started at my feet and it worked all the way up. And by the time I got up, like, I was describing what I was feeling like from my feet up. So I had boots on. I felt like I was wearing like overalls or like work pants or whatever. And as I'm describing this, Gigi is standing right next to me. And by right next to me, I mean like our shoulders are touching. There's no room for her to go anywhere. And she says my stance changes. So I go from standing how I normally stand to like broad shouldered, and my chest is out. And she said I looked like a lumberjack. That's how she described it. So my stance is changing. And then I get up to my head, and when I'm filming, I'm looking like how my eyes look right now, because I'm looking at us on the screen. That's usually how I film. That's how I'm looking. And there's a point where my eyes move and I look dead in the camera like this. And when that happens, I'm gone. And that's it. Like, my face changes, my eyes go black, my jaw goes slack. And from here on, I have no recollection of what happened until later on. And they're asking me questions. And David Sloan is the one that knows a lot of things. So he says, can I ask you questions? And it sounds like I'm drunk or I'm slurring my words or I'm whatever, because I'm not talking very well, but every time he talks, I'm glaring at the camera, like I'm angry with him. And he asked, can I ask you questions? And I say, no. Or can I say names? And I said, no. And then he's listing off names. And I don't think so I laughed, this weird laugh in response to something that he said. And I don't actually think I was responding. I don't think I was listening to him. Like, I don't think that laugh was in response to anything he said. I think I was laughing like, you think you're going to figure me out? Like, I think that's when I had to watch it like 9 times. Yeah, I had to watch it like 9 times. That's my interpretation of it. But I don't remember. I was not here. I was not present. So then they're still talking, and I turn to Gigi, who is literally, her face is just off camera right here. I turn to her. Now, this has been 2 minutes at least since they asked me about my K2 meter, and I had already answered them. And I turned to Gigi and I said, I looked her with those dead eyes, the black eyes, and my jaw slack. I looked at her and I said, the meter's dead, just like they are. And she was like, what? Because now, how does she get out? I have her trapped, right? So she's thinking, I have to get away from her, and I'm gone. And thankfully, Richard Lale understands that something is wrong. So for some reason, I hear his voice. I come back into myself to hear his voice, and he's saying, get out of the house, get out of the house, get out of the house, get out of the house. And I'm holding the camera still. And the other thing is, I stopped lighting myself. So Gigi had to light me because my hands went down. I didn't care. Like, I wasn't like doing anything I was supposed to. So whatever light happens after is her holding a light on me because I stopped doing it. So you can see me. I look very robotic. I'm just not, there's no emotion on my face. There's nothing. And I go outside, I just hand her my camera and I go outside, and I'm standing there and I'm looking up at the stars, and I'm trying to like fight for my own self, I guess, back. And they're all talking. And then all of a sudden you hear my voice in the background, and I tell Gigi, I want to go back upstairs. I want to go in the attic. And she's like, okay. So she's telling them, she says she wants to go up in the attic. And I'm pretending like I'm still not myself, but I'm fighting like I am. So you can see me. I set up the camera in the kitchen when we go back inside, and I'm still standing like weird. And I'm adamant, like I'm going upstairs, like whatever. But then I'm saying things not in the, like I'm saying things in the first person. Like I'm saying, I want to go upstairs, but I don't want to see what I did to those kids. So I'm not going in that room. I want to go in the attic. Like, whatever. And Richard Little's like, that doesn't sound right. Like, that doesn't sound great. There's people in the comments being like, 2 minutes ago, she was too scared to be in the house by herself. Now she wants to go upstairs. Like, what is going on? So eventually, I'm sorry, my nose is running so bad. Eventually they say, like, go ahead, go upstairs. So we go upstairs. And now, mind you, we've gone up the stairs and we've gone down the stairs. Okay. So we go up the stairs and all of a sudden we feel crunching under our feet. And we look down and there's a little pile of dirt. Like it came from the doll. And there was another little pile of dirt right outside. And that doll, they said, has set off REM pods and has done things. They hear it running around, like all this crazy stuff. So all I can think now is that the doll has followed us down the stairs somehow. Because I was hearing people coming up and down the stairs when I was in there by myself. So there's a little pile of dirt. It wasn't there when we went up or down the stairs. So we go up in the attic and it's not me. I'm like refusing to talk about the doll. And I give this whole speech, and like when you watch it, it like sums up like, yeah, there's this doll here, but we're going to talk about the important thing, which is what I did. Like, we're going to talk about me. I'm the important thing. So where there's this crime that happened and whatever. So yeah, there's a doll, but we're going to talk about that because that's the important thing. Which was weird. And I was cutting people off and I was talking over them, but that's very much not me. And then we're in the attic, and that's when I realized it's like, you can't, like, I could still hear what's happening outside. Like, you would have had to stand there frozen. Like, you can't as a human do that and not be heard. Like, and it's more than just a house settling sound. So which is why I think that just like what happened to me, something had to be in charge of him to make him stand there like that for as long as he did, to not call attention to himself. And then we went into the kids' room after that, where there was more axe marks in the wall, and they made me look at myself in the mirror and like come back to myself. And it was like, I'm telling you, I used to laugh because when I would research how to stay at the Villisca house, they would tell you that they would give you the keys and they wouldn't stay. And they would say, either put the keys in the mailbox when you leave in the middle of the night, or you can, we'll see you in the morning. And I always thought to myself, who wouldn't stay? Like, who would run away in the middle of the night? And when I tell you that was the fastest I've ever broken down any investigation. Now, mind you, I forgot this part. We come downstairs. We're going to close the show. I'm in the kitchen. I go to do my ham thing that I had planned. I open the bag that had been on the floor, and the ham is not there. The ham is gone. So now, instead of just being like, this is weird, where's the ham? I'm, again, irrationally angry because I'm still not myself. And I'm like, who took my ham? They took give me back my ham. Like, what? It's ham. I'm not, like, I don't know why I'm reacting like this. It was bad enough they made shirts that night for our merch website. So it was the Axe Ham of Villisca. You can still get them. And on the back it says, where's my ham? Because that's all I would say was, where's my ham? And then David says, what's going to happen is you're going to find that ham, and it's going to be a sign that the killer's traveling with you. And I was like, cool, that's the worst thing I've ever heard. Don't ever say that to me again. Like, whatever. And then we end the show. We broke down that investigation so fast. We ran out of that house so fast, and we didn't go back in. And we're out in the barn and we're cleaning up, and all of a sudden I find the ham is in the barn. So I don't understand how it got there, but at this point I'm like, whatever, it must have fallen out of the bag. So we put all of the trash, including, they were like, do you want to eat it? And I said, absolutely not. Oops, sorry. Absolutely not. No, thank you. Blah, blah, blah. Just put it in the bag. We're going to throw it in the trash. So we put it in the bag to put it with, the dumpster stuff or whatever. And we could put everything, we put one trash bag with all the trash in it in the dumpster. We pack up the car. We booked a hotel in the middle of the night because we sat outside and we were like, we need to go back in. We've come all this way. And then we look at the house and we're like, absolutely not. That was so unsafe. Like, we literally almost died. So we're not doing that. So we booked a hotel in the middle of the night. We went there, we slept it off. And then in the morning, we're in the car and we're driving back to Michigan. And I go to open a bag to find something. And that bag had never come in the house. It never come in the barn. It didn't leave the car. And I go to pull out the thing that I'm looking for. And what I actually pull out is the ham. And so somehow it had come back in the car. So I brought the ham with me. I went to go see all the people on the show and meet them in person on my way back on like a little road trip. And I brought the ham with me and I made them all look at it and try to take it from me. And then I ended up throwing it out in a rest stop in Connecticut.
Wow. I wondered what happened to the ham.
What happened to it?
That I mean, I knew it had disappeared. Wow, Courtney. I'm taking a peek at my notes, like all these things that I had written down here. You just like touched on every one of them. And for anybody who's watching, I'm like nodding my head because if you watched this episode, all the things that Courtney's talking about, you will see them on this episode of Scared and Alone. Um, it's just such an intimate view of the paranormal investigation. And I agree. When I watched, I could see the changes on your face. Also, you had some technical difficulties during that time, where earlier you hadn't, and it was just weird that it started during that time.
Yep.
Um, and the whole thing about the dirt and the doll, that is crazy. And then the quarter that was not in that shot when you first filmed that dirt, when you first stepped on that dirt and you put your camera down there and you showed it, there was no quarter there.
So I actually think I debunked that one.
Okay.
Because I looked back and I think one of us had a picture we took of the doll in the doorway and we zoomed in at the bottom. And I think the quarter is around, it's on the ground somewhere and like someone kicked it closer to it. So I think that one I debunked. But in that moment, I was like, oh my God, like, I don't know what's going on. But the dirt is not like the dirt. There was no dirt. Like, and it's these, and it happened multiple times. It was like the Blair Witch Project inside this house. It was these little perfect little piles of dirt. And it wasn't like spilled from anywhere. It wasn't tracked anywhere else. It was just a little pile of dirt in the middle of the steps. And there's no way that it came from anywhere. Like it was literally in the middle, this little pyramid of dirt.
Again, I would tell anybody who's watching this program tonight, go back and watch that on YouTube. Watch all of Courtney's episodes. They're excellent. And Courtney, when you tell these stories, you really capture the tone. I was really enthralled listening to you talk about everything. Thank you so much for sharing. And thank you for sharing your personal, not just your experience, but really your feelings. I mean, you really you tell a good story too.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So thank you for sharing everything. It's 6:31. I am going to start wrapping things up. So Courtney, again, thank you so much. I hung on every word. I can't wait to have you back again. I can't wait to see you again. And let me see, we've got one more comment. Lisa, my friend Lisa is saying, wow, yes, wow to everything, Courtney.
Yeah,
Again,
just a real quick note to wrap that up. I am a horror girly and I love horror video games and I love horror everything. And I could not sleep with the lights off for 5 full weeks after that happened to me. I couldn't play a video game. I couldn't watch anything but Disney movies. And I had to sleep with the lights all the way on for 5 full weeks after that because that was how traumatic it was.
that's pretty intense, especially watching all those Disney movies. I hope you ate some chocolate too, because I heard that eating chocolate keeps the negative experiences at bay because they release dopamine. So I hope you ate plenty of chocolate during that 5 weeks too. So keep that in mind. I heard that. So at the end of every investigation, I eat chocolate.
Also salt. Salt is good.
Salt.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I've definitely sprinkled salt across my thresholds once or twice in my lifetime.
But
So,
eating salt after an investigation helps you regulate.
oh, and that is good to know as well. Maybe that's why I crave salt, and maybe that's why I don't know about anybody else. I'm very dehydrated before and after an investigation, and there's that drawing. That's interesting. Good to know. Very good to know. So Lisa said, awesome session. Thank you very much. Thank you. So I'm going to wrap everything up. Courtney, I hope that we're going to see you. I'm going to pop a graphic on the screen. Are you going to go to this?
I'm going to try. Oh no, I'm at a wedding that day.
Oh, okay. Oh, bummer. Well,
there, but anything you guys have coming up, you can find me on Facebook, on the socials, I'm at the Femes, or you can find me at Courtney Buckley. I'm happy to have conversations like this with whoever wants to, and we can, I'm sure we'll meet up at another investigation somewhere. Any of Christie's, I will try to be at.
I'm sure. I'm
Yeah,
sure. And hey, I'll book something and I'll invite you. You can come to
let
anything
me
I
know.
book.
Yeah, let me know.
So, all right, cool. All right. Well, thank you for joining us, Courtney. Viewers,
Thank
stick around.
you.
I'm going to wrap things up. Thank you very much, Courtney. I'm so grateful. And just thank you for sharing your experiences. Great show and have a good night. Bye-bye. Um, I am just thrilled. I hope everybody enjoyed that as much as I did. Courtney, not only did I really, really enjoy hearing about your experiences, but you're so nice and you're so genuine. Thank you just for sharing a real personal part of yourself, not just your stories. I felt that I could really feel your emotions come through. Thank you so much. So I do want to wrap things up. This is Gals, Ghosts and Ladies. I am Jennifer. You know us, all paranormal, never politics. We do hope that you will join us at this. I'm going to share it again. Our graphic for the Reaper's Harvest Parafair. I booked a table with my good friend, psychic medium Sybil. She'll be giving readings at that table, and we'll be selling some fun Christmas ornaments and stocking stuffers. Very inexpensive. Most stuff will be less than $5. We're also going to be, I've got some of these are so darn cute. Pink Gothic Tarot. We've got some of these decks that we're going to have at our table for sale. So we do hope that you'll come check it out. And also, last but not least, at our table, we're going to be having a raffle for this doll head REM pod. It's a $50 value. You do have to purchase raffle tickets. I haven't set the price yet. Some people have one free raffle tickets. You know who you are, and you're being entered into that. But stop by our table at that event and enter to win this really cool looking REM pod. And just remember that it's going to benefit Dove, which is an agency in Massachusetts, which is all about domestic violence ended. So we hope that you'll come and participate in that. We do hope to see everybody next week. Part 2, Villisca Axe Murder House. Tonight was part 1 with Courtney, and we talked about paranormal activity. Next week, we're going to do a little bit more of a deep dive into the crime itself and the suspects. And I think I've uncovered some what I would call facta obscura, what I hope some of you have gotten used to in watching my program. Thank you all very much for coming. And Courtney, again, thank you very much. I'm so grateful, and I hope to see everybody very soon. Thank you and good night.